Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Venerable Chief Reverend, Venerable Sirs, friends and children in the Dhamma. First of all, on behalf of Venerable Sangha members of New Jersey Buddhist Vihara, we wish all our Sinhalese friends a happy new year. And with that, let's begin this talk. As you are well aware that we are continuing the series of talks based on the 37 enlightenment factors. In the first group, Vipassana group or Satipatthānā group, we have explained the Kayanupassana in our last talk. Today we are explaining Vedananupassana Satipatthānā, establishment of mindfulness on Vedana, feelings, and observation on these feelings. How does that observation lead an individual for his or her liberation? Is the target of explaining in this Dhamma talk. So let's initiate this Dhamma talk based on the feelings, Vedana. Keep in mind that this term Vedana, feelings, has nothing to do with the emotions. It is the affective tone which created on our six senses based on the contact. Passa paccaya vedana. Based on contact, feeling arises. What is this contact? Contact is the six senses coming together with the consciousness and the exterior objects. When the objects, senses, and the consciousness, tinnang sangati, combined, come together, sangati, coming together, it is passa, it is contact. For example, if you are to see something, there are three things should be combined. An object must be there. And your eye or the sensitivity of the eye must be contacted with that object. And then the mind must be aware of it, or mind must be connected to it. If the mind is somewhere else, thinking something else, though the sensitivity of the eye is contacted with the object, it is not seen by the mind. So the mind get connected with the external objects through these five senses is what we call the contact, phassa. Now, each and every contact has an affective tone, a subsequent feeling is to arise as an immediate impact of this contact, of this phassa. And that feeling is what we call Vedana. So Vedana feeling is sixfold based on the six sense faculties or six sense doors: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. When an object touches each of these six senses, and when it is connected with the consciousness, whatever feeling arises, that feeling is Vedana. As I said before, it has nothing to do with the emotion yet. Emotions are later to arise based on this feeling. Vedana-nupassana is to observe that affective tone that arises based on the contact, based on the phassa. And Buddha said, basically there are three types of feelings. All the feelings are classified into three categories: sukha, happy or joyful feelings; dukkha, miserable, painful feelings; and adukkama sukha, neither pleasurable nor painful feelings, equanimous feelings, upekha feelings. Basically, this is the most common categorization of feelings: sukha, dukkha, adukkama sukha. Of course, there are other kinds of feelings. Other categories are explained in Buddhism, but this is the basic. Of course, in some instances in the suttas, we can find that feeling is categorized just into two as sukha and dukkha, joyful and miserable. The equanimous feeling or the neutral feeling is not there. It is embedded. But in another instance, Buddha said, all the feelings are bound to be sufferings, bound to be causes of suffering. Now, we can explain it in the later part of the talk. But here in this instance, if we are to understand that the feelings, or some other meditation masters say sensations, they introduced feelings as sensations that arise on this physical body, is the concentration, object of awareness, object of mindfulness in this second category of satipatthānā, vedanānupassana. Vedana, feelings, anupassana, observing accordingly. Observing accordingly as the feelings arise. Feelings arise where? You can say in the six senses or as a whole in this body. Other than our nails, teeth, hair, and the bone structure, what do you call the skeleton inside us, other than these teeth, hair, nail, and the bone structure, throughout the body, there is a certain feeling which is happening all the time. This body is nothing but a mountain of feelings. But since our mind is not sharpened to observe these feelings, especially the subtle feelings that arise on this body, we are not capable of seeing all these feelings that arise in the body. We are only seeing the gross, painful, obvious feelings, not the subtle ones. But the meditators who practice on this Vedana could see that each and every particle of the body, each and every cell of the body, part by part, piece by piece, no matter how small or how big, there is a certain sensation, certain feeling. The whole body is vibrating with those feelings. The meditator who develop this acute awareness could see this vibration of different types of feelings throughout his body, from head to toes. Now, in our last talk, last week, we talked about kayanupassana, observing the body. But of course, there are different groups of objects that one can develop his awareness. Most popular one I explained to you, which is the breathing, incoming and outgoing breathing, which is happening all the time. One develops his mindfulness on the touch of this breathing as it is coming in and going out. Usually that touch is happening around the nasal area, this triangular area, below the upper lip, above the upper lip, and below the nostrils, at the nostrils or inside the nostrils, somewhere that breathing touches. Basically, this triangular area. Now, the person who develops his awareness on this touch of the breath, if he is to move to the second category of vipassana, what he does is moving further from the awareness on the touch of the breath, he moves to the sensations, to the feelings that are happening in this triangular area where he was focusing. When he observed this small area where formerly he observes the touch of the breath, now this physical area, when he is continuously, acutely, persistently observing this, he finds different types of sensations, feelings. He feels like it is sweating there, but no sweat, just the feeling. An ant or a small creature is crawling, walking on that area. Different types of sensations, sometimes cold, sometimes hot. All types of sensations he observes. This is Vedananupassana. Do you think that because he was concentrating on that area that he is getting those feelings? Just because he was concentrating? It was there. All types of feelings are there, but his consciousness was not focusing deliberately to see those feelings. Then what he does is he moves this awareness on the triangular area where he was focusing to the top of the head. Then he keep his mind there, focused on a small piece on the top of the head. And when he continues to practice upon it, he finds all sorts of feelings. As he experienced in this triangular area, he is experiencing on the top of the head. Then he moves further, part by part, piece by piece. He observes throughout his head all sorts of feelings. And throughout his face, then going down from this top of the head, part by part, piece by piece, his whole body to the toes. He observes everywhere. Without failure, there is a feeling. Sometimes gross feelings, sometimes subtle feelings, but still there is a feeling. And this is how his practice, this is how he developed, observing these feelings. Sensations arise in the body. Of course, it is a long way. It is a long way to develop until one day for him to achieve the liberation. But that liberation is very obvious. That liberation one realizes as Nibbana, which is the ultimate liberation, is obvious as he can gain a temporary liberation in this practice of Vedana, in this practice on Vedana. Let me explain it to you a bit. The roots of our thoughts and emotions are based on feelings. Before the thoughts arise, before the feelings arise, before the emotions arise, there is a feeling to arise in our body, in our mind, in our system. A feeling bound to arise. And based on that feeling, or after, subsequently to that feeling, an emotion or a thought process, a series of thoughts arise. Feelings are the first to arise. So the roots of the emotions, the roots of the series of thoughts are based on feelings. Now, it is so hard to observe the thoughts. In thinking, we are going far and far away from the present moment. We are lost in thinking. That is how we say. Lost somewhere, it means we are lost from the present moment. We cannot grasp the thoughts. We cannot see the thoughts. When the thinking happens, we are blind to them. We are out. But if we cultivate the ability of seeing these feelings as they arise, then prior to any thought process arise, we can dominate, we can handle, we can manage our feelings. Now, how does these feelings cause any kind of thought process? The feelings are conditioning the thought process, so emotions, based on our reactions to them. When something good, something pleasant, something joyful, happy is felt, the ignorance within us drive us to be attached to them, to develop a longing towards them, to develop a greed towards them. So when something beautiful, when something which is joyful for us is seen or heard, we want to make it ours, my. When something painful happens, when something ugly happens, when something we don't like is to occur, then we react to that happening with anger or hatred. So either greed or anger are our reactions to those feelings. Then we identify with those feelings, my pain, my pleasure, my happiness, my joy. We identify and we try to possess them. We try to possess, try to create some minus on them. Whatever you say, this is my, The reason you call them this is my, because that something you call my is giving you either happiness or suffering. The things that give you happiness, you call them, this is my happiness. The things that gives you pain, you still possess them. This is my misery. This is my karma. This is my hell. And with that, you identify yourself. I am happy. I am sad. Because you possess a temporary feeling as yours, and then you identify yourself with it as this is I am now. Now this is generating what? This is generating the false view of self. We call it sakkaya ditthi. This is a one way of generating sakkaya ditthi, the false idea of self. A feeling occurs based on an external object, based on somebody. A feeling occurs and you possess, you own that feeling as my feelings, and then you identify yourself as now you are happy or sad. Your identification is based on some external animate or inanimate object creating a feeling in you, and you possessing that feeling, and then you identify based on that feeling. Sakkaya ditthi. Now this is unknowingly generating some power, some energy within you. What do we call the sankharas? Accumulations. Because when a feeling happens, you react to that feeling with either greed or hatred. That reaction itself generates a certain power within you in the groups of, in the heaps of, or in the deposits of defilements. You energize the defilements. You strengthen the defilements because of your reaction to a feeling with greed or hatred. The defilements are enriched, strengthened. The function of defilements is singular, which is to make sure that you have a rebirth. You have a long way of continuing from life to life. That is the function of defilements. And these defilements are enriched, strengthened with what? Your reaction to the feelings that arise with greed or hatred. Simple. Now, in vipassana, in satipatthānā, in establishing mindfulness, on vedana, on feelings, you are doing what is opposite to the habitual reactions, habitual pattern of reactions that we have been doing throughout the sansaric life. Not just this life, throughout the samsaric life, in whatever life we were in, what we were doing was reacting with great greed and hatred to the feelings, to the sensations that arise. This is the habit pattern. With those reactions, we have so much of accumulations, deposits within us. We call them the samsaric accumulations of consciousness, samsaric accumulations in the consciousness, which pave the way for us to be born again and again. Now we are trying to do the opposite. When the feelings arise, we observe them as they are. A pain arises. You observe it as it is. How to observe it as it is? This was not here before. Now it is there. Let me see how long this will last. How long this is going to be there for me. Let me see. And now he is observing it as something impermanent. This was not there before. It has arisen now. It have arisen for some or other reason. For some reason it has arisen there. Let me see how long it is going to last. Is he going to be attached to this sensation, this painful sensation? Is he going to be angry with this sensation? He is neither angry nor attached. He doesn't say, this is my pain. This is a pain which was not there before. Now it is there. Let me see how long it lasts. He is observing it as it is. As it is in the sense of impermanence, anicca. And as he is continuously observing, it is bound to happen that this pain vanishes. This pain just vanishes as same as it appears. As it was appeared, so it is going to be vanished. So he neither react it with greed or hatred. He neither identify himself with it. This is my pain. I am in pain now. He neither possessed nor identified. He just observed. He just responded to it. This responding with wisdom, with understanding, stops happening an accumulation or a strengthening of either his greed or anger. I think now you are getting this. So any pain, any sensation of pain or joy, happy or blissful or miserable, whatever sensation arises in the body, he observes them as impermanent, as something fragile, as something changing, evanescent. And he just observes them as temporary. With this observation, of them as they really are, he stops the present reactions. He stops accumulating present sankharas. Present accumulations are thwarted, are stopped, are annihilated. Now, sankharas, accumulations, are a food. It is a food. It feeds the consciousness. Consciousness, vijnana, is dependent upon sankharas. That's why in the dependent origination, in the 12-fold formula of dependent origination, sankhara paccaya vijnana, based on accumulations, sanskaras, vijnana arise. So vijnana, the consciousness, arise based on the accumulations, based on the deposits. And the deposits happen what? On what deposits happen? Based on the reactions to the feelings. Now what happened if you stopped these reactions? No more deposits. Then the consciousness is without food. Consciousness is in hunger. Consciousness has no dependence. He cannot depend on the present food now. It is in hunger. And that consciousness bound to look for food, bound to look for nutritions. And the nutritions he found is like a camel. You feed once, and then you take that camel in a desert, long journey, nowhere to get food. Will this camel die? Because no food, several meals lost. This camel will not die. He will survive on the accumulated energy, accumulated food in his body. His body is made in such a manner. When he has the opportunity to eat food, while he is quenching his hunger, he is depositing the required nutriments for few meals ahead, few days ahead. He can survive days and days without food because of this accumulation of necessary food for the future. We are just like camels in the sansaric life. We have so much of deposits within us. Now in the meditation, when somebody is practicing, continuously practicing on Vedana, continuously is thwarting any kind of reaction to any feeling. All the feelings are observed in the vision of impermanence, in the vision of changing, in the vision of as they really are. And in that vision, he is not reacting to them with greed or hatred, because his wisdom is there that he knows these are temporary feelings. There is nothing to hold on to. They come and go. They arise, they vanish. What is hold on to? Nothing to hold on to. Nothing to possess. getting angry with them or getting joyful about them is something absolutely pointless, because they are temporary. They arise, they vanish. So he just responds to them as they are, with that wisdom, with that understanding. And he is keeping his consciousness in hunger. Then what happened? This consciousness bound to bring out the past memories, past emotions to the surface level of the mind. From the past, hidden, forgotten memories and emotions come onto the surface. Come onto the surface with the expectation that the mind will multiply them, proliferate them, develop them. That is the expectation when those past hidden memories and emotions come onto the surface. But the Vipassana meditator, he is not deceived by them. He just observes them as just as he observed those feelings. Whatever arises in his mind as feelings, as emotions, as memories, he observes them as impermanent. It was not there before. Now it has come onto the surface, come onto the memory. It has overwhelmed me now. Let me see how long this is going to last. He is observing them as they are, as they are. And those past anger, hatred, jealousy, desires, all good and bad, flour and garbage, everything start coming onto the surface and getting evaporated, getting vanished, getting destroyed by the vision of wisdom, by the understanding of the reality, by his vision of impermanence. This is anicca, this is anicca, nothing to hold on to. Let me see how long it lasts. He's not reacting to them. He's not feeding them with anger or hatred or desire or jealousy or no. He is not reacting to them based on defilements. He is responding to them based on wisdom. What is he doing? He is getting rid of his past accumulations. Sometimes anger, a memory of a very strong anger, a harbored anger will come onto the surface. First time, it will be overwhelming. It will be very hard to handle it. But the meditator is not moved, not disturbed by it. He observe it as it is. He look at it as it is. This is impermanent. He is not disturbed by it. He is not reacting to it. He is observing it and responding it. Sometimes after it vanishes, then again that memory will come up. Not so powerful like before. Before, when that memory comes up, it was overwhelming, very difficult to handle. And the feelings arise in the body is so painful because of that past accumulated anger coming up. The body is demonstrating that anger with painful feelings. And the meditator observes these feelings. as they are, impermanent. He considers those memories, those emotions impermanent. Since his response, he can himself observe that those memories, again and again, they will come up, but each time they come up, when he applies the same technique, same method of observing them in the eyes of impermanence, those memories, angry memories, they are losing their power. And after some time, the meditator will remember that incident, will remember the individuals related to that incident, yet there is no anger. It means with that observation, he has got rid of a certain powerfully deposited food, deposited energy within himself. He is liberated. He understands himself that he got liberated from that memory, from that accumulation. And that accumulation one day could lead him to hell, could lead him to perdition. Why? Because that memory, if it come onto the surface of the mind at the very moment of his death, when he is about to die, if that memory happens to come onto the surface of the mind and he dies with the anger, overwhelmed with anger in his mind, what would happen? Perdition, to the hell. He would have ended up in one of the hells. Now he is liberated from it. Now he got rid of that powerful memory of anger, powerful deposit of anger. Now he has no fear of being destroyed by that very deposit. This is how he experienced a certain liberation. And one day, when somebody is practicing continuously, when he is completely and absolutely got rid of all these deposits, all these accumulations, there comes a time he can proclaim, he can declare, I am fully liberated now. My mind is without deposits now. Visankhāragatam chittam. My mind is without deposits. That is how Lord Buddha, when he was enlightened, sitting under the Bodhi tree, he declared this paean of joy, aneka jati sansarang sandha vissang anibbisang. In that paean of joy, the last two lines, he says how his consciousness is now. My consciousness is visankhāragatam chittam. My consciousness is without deposits. He has got rid of all these deposits in the technique, with the technique of Vedananupassana, observing the feelings, the sensations that arise in the body. That's how he wanted rest of the world to practice. Got rid of this suffering of sansaric circle. To get rid of this process of suffering. This is the only way. You suffer simply because your reaction to the feelings, your own reactions and the misunderstanding of the feeling causes your suffering. First, you try to possess the feelings. This is my feeling. And you identify yourself. I am in pain. I am happy. I am miserable. I am suffering. All based on feelings. So whenever you try to possess a feeling, suffering begins. And moreover, your reactions to those feelings multiply your suffering with the negative deposits within you. These negative deposits have only one aim, one goal, to lengthen, to make it longer, your process of birth and death. That is the only purpose. So this is a very clear-cut explanation in the Buddha's teaching, how to stop this process of birth and death. Yeah. Vedana-nupassana. Observe, Buddha says, observe these sensations as they are impermanent. If attached to them, they are suffering. They arise out of no personal interference. They arise as something random, spontaneous, and observe them also as something spontaneously arisen, as something which is not going to last forever. When somebody is practicing on this Vedana-nupassana, observing the sensations, observing the feelings, he can clearly see that the speed, the pace of these feelings changing. One moment there is a pain, another moment that pain is replaced by a pleasant sensation. Feelings are always changing. So there is nothing to hold on to. There is nothing to react to. There is something to respond and to understand them. And with that understanding, there will be a liberation. There will be a nibbana. And these feelings are directly connected with the thought process, with the emotions. Understanding of the feelings helps one to uproot the feeling, the emotions from the roots, from the very beginning. To get rid of those past hidden, accumulated memories, emotions. Sometimes they are the cause, they are the conditions for many sicknesses, which is to arise later in our body and in our mind. Our own deposits. To get rid of these deposits, the path is to observe the feelings, observe the sensations that arise in the body. It is very clearly explained. First, stop the present accumulations. First, stop the present deposits, and then get rid of the past deposits. To stop the present deposits, to get rid of the past deposits, there is only singular observation, singular wisdom to apply, that they are all impermanent. They are all changing. They are all momentary. As this wisdom starts developing deep in our consciousness, in our minds, in our very beings, as we are observing everything which is happening as impermanent, as changing, there is a clear path is opening up for us to get rid of all the deposits that are accumulated within us, not just in this life, but throughout the samsaric life. And one day, there will be a moment that we have nothing within us. We have no deposits, no accumulations within us. And that day is the Nibbana. Okay? That's enough for today. Thank you very much for listening, and let's share all these merits together with our departed ones and together with the Devas. Let's share merits. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu lokasasanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu lokasasanam. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu lokasasanam. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Blessings for you. Dukkharoga bhayavera soka sabbe upaddava aneka antarayapi vinassantu ca tejasa. Jaya siddhi dhanang labhang satti bhagyam sukham balang siriyayu ca vanno ca bhogang buddhi ca yasava satavassa ca ayu ca jiva siddhi bhavantu te. Ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbāna sampatti iminate samijjatu. Sadhu, sadhu.